All I will say is this. If Vladimir Putin were sitting in the White House, he could not do something more effectively to undermine American interests across Europe and strengthen Russian interests in Europe than what Donald Trump's doing right now in trying to blow up the NATO alliance for Greenland.
Here's more of what the president had to say last night about that and his Greenland ambitions.
No, I don't care about the Nobel Prize. First of all, a very fine woman felt that I deserved it and really wanted me to have the Nobel Prize, and I appreciate that. If anybody thinks that Norway doesn't control the Nobel Prize, they're just kidding. They have a board, but it's controlled by Norway, and I don't care what Norway says. But I really don't care about that. What I care about is saving lives. Well, I don't think they're going to push back too much. Look, we have to have it. They have to have this done. They can protect it. Denmark, they're wonderful people. And I know the leaders are very good people, but they don't even go there. And, you know, because the boat went there 500 years ago and then left, that doesn't give you title to property. So we'll be talking about it with the various people.
Considering the Arctic Russian threat is important to you, why are you upset about NATO allies thinking that, more seriously in Greenland by holding military exercises?
Well, that wasn't a military. They sent a few people. And they say they sent them not for me, but to guard against Russia. But, NATO's been warning Denmark for about 20 years now, longer than that, 25 years. They've been warning Denmark about the Russian threat. And it's not only Russia, it's also China. So we'll see what happens. But let's put it this way. It's going to be a very interesting Davos.
Applebaum, in your latest piece for The Atlantic entitled Trump's Letter to Norway Should Be the Last Straw, you ask the question, will Republicans in Congress ever step in? And you write in part, quote, the people around Trump could find ways to stop him, as some did in his first term, but they seem too corrupt or too power hungry to try. That leaves Republicans in Congress as the last barrier. They owe it to the American people and to the world to stop Trump from acting out his fantasy in Greenland and doing permanent damage to American interests. Years of careful diplomacy, billions of dollars in trade are now at risk because senators and representatives who know better have refused to use the powers they have to block him. Now is the time.
And Republican leaders on Capitol Hill understand the level of derangement behind the president's push for Greenland. The Republicans, and yes, they are Republicans on the Supreme Court, know just how illegal his use of tariffs, specifically here, threatening other countries, is, and yet they refuse to do anything about it. What hope is there that Republicans will actually step up and do the right thing, especially because 75% of Americans, 80% of Americans think this is genuinely bad for the United States?
So let me just start by saying the clips you just showed of President Trump, echoing some of the things that he said in his letter to the Prime Minister of Norway, demonstrate a degree of separation from reality that I think is actually new. I mean, we know that Trump makes things up, that Trump lies, that Trump fantasizes, but he now seems to be really living in an alternate world in which he deserves the Nobel Prize. This is what he said to the Prime Minister, and in which if he doesn't get it, he's therefore entitled to take Greenland. None of his statements about Greenland, about the political reasons why he wants it, the security reasons, the economic reasons, none of these make any sense. None of them stand up to scrutiny. The U.S. has had a base on Greenland for decades. It could have more next week. U.S. firms are not looking much for minerals in Greenland because it's very difficult to dig there. But if they wanted to do that, they would be welcome too. All of this is a strange and increasingly weird ego trip. How to describe it? A narcissistic fantasy. He needs to pressure Europe. He needs to make them look weak. And as you just said, every member of Congress should know exactly how damaging this is. This makes the United States look crazy. Our president look off his rocker. We are demanding a major change, a territorial change to make Greenlanders become Americans without offering any explanation. This is really a moment when Congress can stop him. And as you say, the Supreme Court can say, no, you cannot use tariffs as random punishment or as random, as a way of expressing Trump's feelings. Tariffs have an economic purpose, and they need to be used carefully.